It's Friday, January 19th. I'm your host, Sarah Beal. On today's show, we'll talk to Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager Nina Coleman. She updates us on the damage to Sandy Neck from the recent storm. Then we'll catch up with Recreation Program Coordinator Melanie Memo. We talk about girls basketball, futsal, soccer, and the popular Mommy Mixer group. And finally, this week's Arts and Culture segment featuring local musician Kathy Spirites. But first, let's get a look at today's top headlines. The town of Barnstable is currently accepting applications for artists and artisans interested in participating in the 2018 Hyannis High Arts Cultural District Artist Shanty Program. Artist shanties are located in the Hyannis High Arts Cultural District at Bismore Park, and new this season, 3 additional shanties along the walkway to the sea overlooking Azleton Park. Artists will be juried as applications are received, and applications are accepted on a rolling basis for the remaining spots of the 2018 season. Spots are filled based on need and availability. Applications can be found on www.artsbarnstable.com. The Town of Barnstable Building Department has announced a recent policy change concerning the existing temporary signs on public property ordinance. The department has reviewed and updated guidelines as a result of the public's expressed desire to maintain the quiet dignity and decorum of our memorial sites, as well as to address safety concerns regarding motor vehicle traffic line of sight. The revised policy includes restrictions on the number and placement of temporary signs on public property and a prohibition of temporary signs on memorial sites and traffic islands. As always, applicants seeking to install signs on public property will need to register their event with the building department prior to placement of signage. Forms are available and may be obtained at the building department located at 200 Main Street. Staff is available to answer questions or to assist applicants with the registration process and can be reached at 508-862-4038. The Marine and Environmental Affairs Division will be holding a commercial shellfish permit lottery. The lottery will be held on February 1st. New commercial shellfishing permits may be issued at the rate of 1 new permit for every 1 non-renewed permit or permit that is void as a result of other causes. To become eligible for a new commercial permit, you must apply by January 31st and pay the non-refundable $5 application fee. All completed legitimate applications will be entered into the lottery. If you have any questions, please contact the Marine and Environmental Affairs Division at 508-790-6272. Coming up next, Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager Nina Coleman. Nina, 2 weeks in a row. Thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you, Sarah.
We're going to do some more storm updates because I know it's a topic of conversation and everyone's kind of wondering what's going on out at Sandy Neck. So let's kind of talk about that. What do we have?
Yeah, so we're slowly pulling ourselves back together after this enormous storm surge that we talked about last week. The off-road beach is opened back up for folks. They really have to be careful out there. There's still debris coming in on every tide cycle. The beach is very soft, but we were able to open that back up. The access trail is passable, but very challenging as well. I did take a picture, and you might be showing it, of how much flooding we had on the access trail. Mm-hmm. So we're moving forward with that. The front beach has some erosion, but it seems to be sort of manageable at this point. We're hoping we don't have any additional storms out of the northeast. And if we don't, we'll be okay. If we do, then we're going to have to reassess that front dune. But so far, we're good there.
Good.
But the gatehouse remains the big issue for us. As we talked about last week, we had 18 inches of water inundate the gatehouse, mm-hmm. and came in real quick. Oh, yeah. It was amazing. And so we have Structures and Grounds, our town organization, in there. They're doing an amazing job. They came right in, got that demolition dumpster out there, and started pulling apart the walls.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they were there when we were there last week, hard at work.
Mm-hmm. Hard at work. The important thing is that we get all that wet, soggy material out of there before it molds. So they pulled it down off the bottom portion of the walls, all the insulation, all the flooring. We got fans going in there. We don't have electricity. We are moving as fast as we can to get the gatehouse up and running, but it is not a place of business right now.
Right.
So we do remain closed at the gatehouse. Staff is around, obviously, to keep an eye on the beach and to patrol. to listen to the answering machine and respond to people, but you know, we're not running, we're not functioning yet at the gatehouse.
Right. As far as the trails being open, are do you have suggestions for people that are wanting to go out there and maybe kind of look at the damage themselves? I mean, obviously they need to be slightly more careful than they usually would be.
Yeah. So the access trail, as I said, is pretty soft. The really warm days are the days that you can get in trouble out there because it's obviously mushier. There was a lot of inundation in there, so when it's frozen, it's easy. It's like pavement. But when it's really soft, that's when you can get sucked into a quicksand hole type situation. We do recommend airing way down. We're recommending 15. Our requirements are 18 psi, but we have been recommending 15. And you can go even lower if you feel like that gives you that little extra ability to get out of those tight spots.
I mean, if me personally, I would stay away. But I know there are people that, have to get their Sandy Neck time in and they like to go out there. So hopefully you also have people that live out or not live, but are out in the cottage colony. How is everything going for the cottage colony?
The cottage colony is definitely challenging. The storm surge came up from the Great Marsh, so out of the south side, and flooded over many of those interior trails, which I didn't speak to because they're not available for your recreational vehicles, only for cottage owner access. But basically, the issue there is that floodwater came flying in, pooled in all those low areas, and trails generally are low areas, and then froze. So it is not an easy go to get out there. We're working really hard to make sure that we can get all the information to the cottage owners. They're going out and assessing their buildings. There is generally no electricity in these buildings. Most of them aren't insulated, so they're kind of designed to deal with a little flood inundation. But from what I understand, it was sort of a historic event, the amount of water that flooded some of those cottages, and so they are going to be projects ahead to get everything back up and running.
Right. On a positive note, we're going to talk about beach permits.
Yes.
Renewals were going to be going out by email this year.
Yes. So generally we get a lot of calls right around the first of the year. People are looking for their new permits. Have no fear. Your permit is still good until April 15th, 2018. So that date is actually stamped right on the permit. So everybody is still good right now, even with the gatehouse closed. Anybody who has a permit, needs to still follow the rules and regulations. The 8 a.m. to 4 p.m. The beach is open is really the big one right now. People don't realize they have to be off by 4. But what we are going to do is an email blast. So we do collect email addresses from permit holders, and in past years, for many years, we sent out a renewal application. It's kind of, people are expecting it, but this year that's very expensive. It's kind of a waste of paper, and we have technology at our fingertips that we want to start using. So it will be an email blast. We do all our permits on white paper now, so it would provide just like the beach permits, you would print it and fill it out and then send it back to us. Likewise, it would be available online. So we're just trying to streamline our process. Someday we'd like to be able to do it online. The renewal online, that's in the future, but we're kind of moving in that direction.
Wonderful. I know people will be excited to get those emails, and it just means that summer is, we'll be here before you know it. Hopefully we get through the rest of the winter unscathed out at Sandy Neck. Is there anything else you want to talk about before I let you go?
Well, we are seeing a lot of really good wildlife sightings. I invite everybody to come down. A lot of birds were blown in with the last few wind events. So good hiking, good wildlife watching. Beautiful days still out there, so swing on down. You'll see us out and about. We'll be happy to answer any questions that you have.
Wonderful. Nina, thank you so much for joining us today, and good luck with everything out at Sandy Neck.
Thank you, Sarah.
Have a great day.
You too. Bye.
Bye. My guest today is Nina Coleman. She's the Sandy Neck Beach Park Manager here in the town of Barnstable. Coming up, local musician Kathy Spirtes, but first, program coordinator Melanie Memo. Melanie, thank you so much for joining us today.
Thanks for having me.
We're going to talk about some rec programs. We had Tim in last week talking about some boys basketball. This week we're going to talk about some girls basketball.
Great. So we have girls basketball after school for 4th and 5th and 6th and 7th graders that just started games these past 2 weeks. So we're in the thick of a season right now.
That's wonderful. What kind of skills do the girls work on?
We're working on a lot of just gameplay and like just basic skills mostly, but so the 6th and 7th graders are actually kind of learning on more things like cuts and picks and sort of like a little bit more of like the game speed aspects. So.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the 4th and 5th graders are just kind of getting the basics.
Yeah,
This is how you dribble the ball. This is how you shoot the ball.
Yeah, more of like the rules, like don't travel, don't double dribble.
Right.
Don't hit your friend, that kind of thing. So
wonderful.
Yeah.
I know it's a great program, and it's builds up, and it hopefully builds up the program that goes into the the high school. So
yeah,
which I know they have a pretty good basketball team, the boys and the girls. Yeah. We also want to talk about soccer. It's in the winter. It's when I was a kid, it was indoor soccer, which that's what it was called, but now it's called futsal.
Yeah. So our partnership with UKSD and Lee Doherty. They offer a program called futsal, which is they use sort of like a dead-end soccer ball, so there's not a lot of bounce to it. So it's perfect for indoor. The kids all work on lots of basic skills, but they get tons of touches on the ball, so they're constantly dribbling, shooting, passing, and it's all indoors at the Barnstable United Elementary School later in the evenings, and that starts this week. And in 2 weeks, there's two different days.
Wonderful. What's starting this week that people can sign up for? Because I know even though it starts this week, they can still sign up.
Yeah. So this week we have the after-school nighttime program. So it's from 5 to 7 on Thursdays. Mm-hmm. There's still room. It's offered for pre-K all the way up to 5th grade. Yes, 5th grade. So they can still sign up for that, still tons of spots. And then the Monday after school program is just for 4th and 5th graders, and it's directly after school.
Great. That's really good. So you can sign up for all of these programs that we're talking about today right on the town website in the under recreation. You guys have the whole online.
Yeah, gamut of activities they can still sign up for. Yeah, there's a couple that are still haven't started. So
that's great.
Yeah.
And then another one of your programs that you run, which I know we've talked to you about before, is the Mommy Mixer Group, which is so cute and so fun and such like a great way for new moms to meet other moms and kind of like talk about mom stuff and baby stuff and so and so's doing this, is that normal and stuff like that. So how's that going?
It's great. So we meet every Wednesday at the Centerville Rec Building from 9 to 11, and it's a great opportunity, especially this time of year where you have cabin fever. It's like, get me out. Yeah. What am I supposed to do with the kids? So we always have toys and playtime available. Sometimes we have structured activities. So it's always a great opportunity to just get out of the house this time of year. And come play for a couple hours on a Wednesday.
Yeah, is that drop-in? Should people sign up for it ahead of time?
Totally drop-in, so they can either email me through the town website, or they can just drop by. We also have a Facebook group that they can join if they'd like, Barnstable Recreation Mommy Mixer, and they can check out, I list all the activities for each month there.
Yeah, and you sometimes feel like if there's a special holiday, you do something. So you have a special activity coming up for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we'll have our Valentine's Day party, which is a lot of fun. The kids all dress in red, and it's a good opportunity. They can hand out their little Valentines, and it's pretty cute. So.
Yeah. What's the age range of the kids?
Our youngest right now that comes is about 6 months old, and we offer all the way up until right before they head off to preschool. So there's a big age range of kids. Right now we're pretty much looking at like the 1 to 2, so lots of toddlers.
Yes,
a lot of chaos, but it's controlled and fun. So
yes, exactly. Yeah. Oh, that's so great. That's such a fun group. Another thing we want to talk about real quick, because nothing's 100% planned yet, but the skate park will be opening, and there's been a ton of renovations done recently. Yeah,
so we finished all the renovations on our bowls, which are the big, almost like swimming pool-like structures in the park. Those have all been resurfaced, and they're smooth and safe. And we just fixed our half pipe with new resurfacing as well, and new entrance fencing to the park as well, so it's a little more streamlined, and kids don't have to go down like the the grassy hill to get in. They can
yeah.
actually use the sidewalk to get into the park now. So coming up this spring when we open, we'll be having a big competition and sort of like a celebration of the renovations and like a almost grand reopening. So
Right, wonderful. I know that's definitely a hot spot. You drive by the skate park, in the afternoon, anytime, even if summer, spring, fall, and there's kids out there. They're on their skateboards. I've seen rollerblades.
Yeah.
I've seen those mini razor scooters.
The scooters, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So it's a really popular spot, and I know the kids will probably be really excited that it's opening back up again. So
yeah.
Well, make sure you let us know all the information when
Absolutely.
it does open, because it's January, but April will be here.
Everyone's thinking spring already.
Yeah,
so, yeah.
April will be here soon. I promise. April is coming.
Yep.
Well, thank you, Melanie, so much for coming in and chatting with us today. I really appreciate it.
Thanks for having me.
Thanks. My guest today is Melanie Memo. She's a program coordinator here in the town of Barnstable.
I'm Melissa Chartrand. In today's art segment, I spent time with the musician Kathy Spirtes to talk about the hammered dulcimer, a musical instrument you may not be that familiar with, but Kathy has come to know and love. It is certainly not the most portable item, but she manages just fine, and as an added treat, you'll hear some playing time as well.
The history of the dulcimer, the modern dulcimer, started in Germany. We do think the cousins, the precursor to the modern dulcimer, were the zither and the pluck psaltery. I mean, you will see pictures in some of the old cathedrals or in stone of angels playing, even with hammer, some kind of long hammer that is what looks to be an instrument with strings stretched across a trapezoidal base, So that's what we know is the history, and it is the precursor to the modern piano, because we're hitting the strings that are stretched across wood and on top, and the piano has hammers underneath the top. I was in Roanoke, Virginia, and a group called No Strings Attached came to this festival that I was attending, and I heard it, and I said, I'm going to play that one day. I will buy myself one. And 2 years later, I moved to Seattle, and it just so happens the largest maker of this instrument, Dusty Strings, is in Seattle, and that's where I got my first one. And it was a much smaller, fewer strings than the one I'm playing now, but that was my start. And I got a teacher out there, and I didn't read music, so it was all by ear or watching. I watched him, if he did this, I did that. And I mean, yeah, I think back now, since my memory is not quite as sharp as it was in my mid-30s, that was pretty cool that I would go home from each lesson and I would remember what he taught me. Well, it calms me. I just love the sound. I love hearing the sound myself. I love playing the songs that I want to hear. So I often use it as my stress release at home. And if I'm sad or even happy, I'll play my dulcimer. And of course, I'll choose the tune based on the feeling. But that is, it's just very calming and meditative, the way I play, because I'm not much of a contradance percussionist player. I like the lusher, more melodic, harmonic songs, and that's what I usually play. Well, when I first came to Cotuit, the first time I really played in public was at the Cotuit Center for the Arts. They were doing this solstice, no, it wasn't a solstice, Christmas program, which was a medieval program, the way they put together music and some stories. And so I was the intermission music, because dinner was served in between the first act and then the second act. And so I played music, and that was 12 nights in a row. Well, not in a row, but within 3 weeks, and that was fun. So now I've played at different events. I've played at a couple solstice programs. I've played at a couple church programs, but now I've just taken a program with the Music for Healing in Transition, and I'm learning how to play one-on-one at the bedside of people who are ill or dying. And that's I think going to be a very interesting way to deliver therapeutic or healing and calm music. It's always been a calling to play the instrument, but it's mostly been a calling internally, and I've answered the call to myself. But now at this stage, I do feel the call to play for others. And I mean, even if I just went to set myself up in the park in Hyannis, I would love that, and just be playing music that would be going along on the breeze, and to whoever's out there having a picnic or sitting there watching the water, the kind of background music. I'd be happy doing that. I'm happy doing that.
It's a beautiful sentiment to hear about Kathy's love for playing for others. To learn more about Kathy Spertise, find her online at kathysdulcimer.com. And to learn more about the events and programs in the town of Barnstable, head to artsbarnstable.com. For Inside Arts Barnstable, I'm Melissa Chartrand, wishing you an artful day.
Now it's time for Barnstable Today's community calendar. The Sturgis Library will be hosting an evening of great poetry and music to mark the 50th anniversary of the Tet Offensive, one of the largest military campaigns of the Vietnam War. This will be held on Tuesday, January 23rd at 6 p.m. This free poetry and music event will feature a trio of exceptional poets, Doug Anderson, Howie Fairstein, and Eric Wazilski. There will also be music by Black Widow Trio, who will perform the world premiere of John Best's composition based on the poem The War Prayer by Mark Twain, with narration by poet and poetry organizer Neil Silberblatt. Admission is free and registration is appreciated but not required. You can register by calling the Sturgis Library at 508-362-6636. The annual Barnstable Harbor New Year's Day swim has been rescheduled for this Saturday, January 20th at noon on Millway Beach. Admission is free and commemorative t-shirts will be sold on site for $25. Shirts are also available at Barnstable Market. Proceeds benefit Dance in the Rain, a nonprofit mental health group focusing on peer-to-peer support. Now let's take a look at next week's board, committee, and commission schedule. A quick note about meetings next week and the week after. There are upgrades happening in the hearing room, so that room will not be in use. You'll want to double check the meeting you are looking for if you plan to attend. Thank you for joining us today. We'll be back Monday with an all-new show. On Monday's show, we'll talk with Jen Karen from Barnstable Public Schools. She's going to tell us all about the engineering program at Barnstable High School. We'll also get a legislative update from State Rep Randy Hunt, and we'll have so much more. For Barnstable Today, I'm Sarah Beal.